Hello, and welcome to an all new episode of the Black Empowerment 365 show. I am one of your hosts, Kente, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host, the one and only Kiana Rodriguez. How you doing, Kiana?
I am wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing excellent. It's a beautiful day, and I'm real happy, and I'm glad to be here chopping it up with you.
All right. I'm very excited about tonight. I really am. Yes.
Yes. We have another great show for you tonight. And our guest tonight is author Diamond Disclosure. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I ain't gonna put your government name out there like I'm not gonna do you like that. But I'm
okay.
Here. I'm glad that you are here, and we have so much to talk to you tonight. I mean, not just your book. We're going to talk a lot about your book, but also we're going to talk about all the things that you do, because I don't know that people quite understand what it is that you do, and I hope you can give us some clarity tonight. Okay.
Sure can.
All right. So the best place we always like to start off at is the beginning. So tell us, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Huntsville, Alabama.
Wow.
So Southern girl. All
right. Alabama is. So tell us what it was like growing up there.
Alabama is just one of those places that it's kind of always been the way that it's been. You know what I mean? It is. I don't know what to say about growing up in Alabama, but it was different. It was different. I definitely had more of the world to see.
So it's not all porch swings and lemonade and sweet tea.
Oh boy.
It is a lot of that. I can't go without my sweet tea. I was craving it today. You can't get sweet tea up here in DC. It's all unsweet. So.
Now, did you go to high school in Alabama as well?
Yeah, went to high school, went to college there. So, Alabama was life. After college, I did move on to hot Atlanta and broaden my horizons just a bit more. That's where I met my friend Jordan. And Atlanta was great. I felt like I had been missing out on a lot of life from the transition from North Alabama to Atlanta. So that was good.
Now, it's funny though that you had a great time in Alabama. I mean, in Atlanta, but a lot of young ladies they have such a hard time in Atlanta because of the imbalance being I think 33-1 women to men. I mean, I think it's wonderful, but for a lot of young ladies, it's kind of difficult. You had a good time there.
I did. I had some of my major relationships there, so I don't think I felt left out of any type of situation there. So yeah, I went through a lot, grew up a lot in Atlanta. It was a good experience, highs and lows, growth.
Okay.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when a woman get a guy in Atlanta, they put that halo around them, and drag them out of the city so they can keep them.
Oh my goodness. So, what brought you to the DC area?
Just looking for a change. I am just nomadic in that way. Always looking for something different, something new to experience. A relationship actually brought me to the DC area. And I definitely liked it. A lot different than living down south. So much to do, so much to see, so much flavor, so just everything, So it's definitely been interesting being up here and getting to know the way of life up here.
It's different.
Yeah, extremely different. DC and Alabama and Atlanta, it's huge difference. So you ever feel like a fish out of water at all?
I'm a psychic. I'm always a fish out of water. I feel the energy, I think more, the energy is different. I don't ever feel too out of place. I noticed they love to call people Bamas up here. There was one thing that I thought was really offensive. The DC culture is, Bama this, Bama that, but
They still say Bama though?
yeah, they call you Bama.
Oh my gosh.
But I was like, why do they do that? But different places, different things, different expressions.
All right. How long have you been in the DC area?
I originally moved up in 2011 and then stayed about 2 years. And then I left. I did go back down south for a little bit. And then I came back up at the end of 2014. So I was away for about a year. So I've been here about 4 years altogether. About.
Okay, that's cool.
Now you brought it up, the elephant in the room, and now I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot. The only thing I know about psychics or intuitive is my girl back in the day, Miss Cleo. Call me now.
Oh, come on! No,
that's all I really know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm at a loss. So, educate me. What is a psychic? What is an intuitive? Explain yourself. Boy.
Miss Cleo, bless her heart, that's all any of us Black people think of when they hear the word psychic. I think Miss Cleo just ruined it for so many authentic spiritualists walking the globe. But, a psychic, it means many different things. I think that's why people get so confused by it. The first thing you think of is something like Miss Cleo calling a hotline and getting some entertainment more or less than, actual information. But being a psychic can mean many different things. I mean, people that are psychic don't necessarily have visions, but some do. Some people see in visions. That's clairvoyance. A lot of people know that term. But you can also just have a deep sense of knowing. People, the old folks say, that, he was really wise, or, something like that. You can just know something like, or you may just feel things like being empathic. I'm an empath, so I can feel the emotions of others before they tell me how they're feeling, So it can mean a lot of different things, but and there's different modalities, talking about the book, and we're not there yet, but, with the shamanism, that's just a whole different level to it. So it's different levels to, spiritual gifts and spiritual guidance. But I do give readings, so I do happen to have visions. Sometimes I hear messages, I'll just hear something in my ear. It'll just be like in my right ear, and I'll just hear a voice. Just it's like a movie will start playing, in my head, like your third eye. So, it's different. I think different people experience it in different ways. Being psychic is very different than being medium, which, is a person that, connects with spirits or the deceased. So, it's a lot of different levels to spiritual gifts.
So a lot of different levels. Now, the question, I have to know this. I've always wondered this, and I know you're a married woman, but the idea of dating a psychic, a legit psychic, seems kind of scary on some levels, or even being really close friends with it. I mean, are you constantly like, I got a vision? Like, do you do that, or do you? Because that would kind of crazy for me,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I want to know,
It's not quite like that. You know what I mean? It's like, you have to learn to control it. It's like anything else, it's just like a gift, just because you're a professional pianist and are known, you're not always playing the piano. You know what I mean? Right. Just because you're a track star, you're not always running to every place that you have to be, so you can learn to control it. But at the same time, I mean, there are things that I'll know about, certain situations. I don't have to advertise that, that label psychic, I think people don't realize, as uncomfortable as other people are with that term. I was very uncomfortable with that too. I mean, it took a while to come into saying psychic or coming out as a psychic, and truly, my husband is the only relationship that I've been open with that. So,
Now you don't do like this. It's like about to watch the Super Bowl this year. And you're like, yeah, don't you're rooting for the Carolina Panthers. You're gonna be disappointed at the end of the game. You don't do stuff like that.
See, the thing is, everybody, it's so different for everyone. That's not my thing. You know what I mean? That's not something that I would spend time focusing on. I'm more interested in helping others, to better themselves in terms of, love, career, abundance, spiritual blocks. It's higher. It's a deeper level than trying to figure out who's going to win a boxing match, or a football game.
Because we all know that Carolina's going to win. So, my question for you is, at what point of your life did you know that you had these gifts?
It's always been with me. I'm definitely someone that identifies as a natural born empath and psychic medium. I remember as a child, we were in Alabama and we were rolling down the main thoroughfare. It wasn't actually like a highway, right? Because it's Alabama. And I'm trying to talk to my mom about where we were before we were here, and I'm like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, something like that. And she's like, what do you mean where we were before we were here? You weren't anywhere. You didn't exist before we were here. I was like, no, Mom, we were somewhere else before we came here. I was somewhere else. And she gave me the weirdest look and probably about ran us off the road. But it's definitely, something, that's always been within me. I had in my teens, I think it came out the most. I would be able to kind of predict when somebody was going to call me or when I was going to run into a particular person. So that's when it started coming out a little bit stronger. And then there's one particular experience I had in college. I was, those big auditoriums that they put you in and it's packed. I was sitting in full lecture, my finance class, and I'm really needing to pay attention because math is not my strongest subject, and it's so quiet in there. I could hear a pin drop, but I'm starting to get these sensations like somebody's putting a pillow over my face. I started to get hot, like I was going to have a panic attack. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't get up, I can't leave. It's so quiet in here. I'm going to make a ruckus. Anyway, I finally talked myself into getting out of there because it was just too much. It was just coming all over me. I get outside of my classroom and my best friend is out there telling me that she was just almost sexually assaulted. And the guy was putting a pillow over her face and trying to hold her down. And I'm experiencing the same thing that she's, going through. And she's on the other side of that door waiting to tell me. So just things like that. I've always had those type of paranormal type of experiences happen throughout life.
Okay.
Wow.
How do you deal in that? I know you've been in this space for a long time, but it's got to get a little nerve-wracking at times, right? Just to constantly have that, your antenna going off.
I think in the beginning it was when I didn't know how to control it, during that experience, I really didn't know what was really happening. I thought I was freaking out for some reason, but over time and with, the help of other spiritual teachers, I can decipher between, my emotions and something that's happening to me and something that's happening to another person. And then, who it's happening to, because, first I couldn't, I'm like, well, who is it? I would just be sitting there. Well, who is it? What is it? What's, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then, I was like, okay, this is what it is. This is who it's for. It's not me. And it becomes easier to deal with.
Oh, wow. That's something else, that's something else. I can only imagine, what it is, a regular, is it like a daily thing?
Every day, all day. It's natural.
Day.
It's natural for me.
Jeez, oh geez. Yeah, well, good luck with that.
I know. Well, because I've heard that people have that type of intuitive spirit within them, but not everybody can really tap into it like others. What do you think about that?
It's a very different path. Me having those paranormal experiences was me being an empath, me being able to pick up the energy of others, right? The experiences that I shared with you guys. But, it's a very different road to reading for you, one of you guys. You know what I mean? It's two different, I think it's probably two different parts of the brain. It's just two different paths. And it's something that, is natural for some people, and some people can, with an intuitive gift, could probably learn how to do. I definitely work with empaths and psychics that are wanting to develop themselves to be able to help others. But it's two different roads.
Oh, wow.
All right. So what would you say was one of your strongest experiences?
I mean, I've had a lot of them, you know what I mean? Definitely the one I shared with you guys about being in the classroom, that was one of the first experiences that I had. So I always identify that as the strongest one. But I mean, when you start reading for people and you're sharing information with them for healing and, you know, to help them get through a specific, you know, a tough time, you know, there are a lot of things that come up. I was reading for a close friend, and, you know, like her mom is deceased, you know, so her mom came through, and it was so emotional, you know what I mean? Like, I'm an empath, so I can feel her emotions, and I can feel her deceased mother's you know what I mean? So it's like, it can be an emotional experience. It can be emotionally taxing, you know, at the same time too, because it's so much energy that's required. But at the end of the day, it's really helpful to people, and it's really rewarding, you know, and I identify it as my sole purpose. So that's what I'm here to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can this ability be passed on at all, or is it just, you know, I mean, can it be hereditary at all?
Absolutely.
Really? Okay. Do you have kids?
No kids yet.
You know when it's coming, though.
Maybe because she's planned it.
Right? There's an app for that. There's an app for that.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
All right, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let's go right into this book. I love the title. Why am I the only Black girl in the shaman room? Great title for a book. Long, but it's
Thank
great.
You.
So
thank you.
Let's talk about that. And just as a disclosure, I saw this wonderful blab that it was like a Sunday morning, and it was with Jordan Hales, who's in our chat room, who does lunchtime comedy chats, and she's an author as well. And Diamond Disclosure, they're like really good friends, and they did like this blab, and where they were talking about this book, and I was so riveted by the conversation. So, and you guys did like real early on the Sunday morning and all of this. Like, we're gonna do this in prime time. So I definitely wanted to get you on here to talk about it. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
I wrote a book about an experience that I had over the course of a weekend taking a shamanism workshop. And it was such a dynamic experience for a lot of different reasons. You know, I walked away from it with so many different thoughts and perceptions of how the class was presented and why I was the only Black person there. And I really wanted to, you know, write something that I thought could be like a conversation starter, a short read for, you know, my Black people that are never present in these spirituality conversations that I always find myself in. So, you know, I wanted it to be a call to action for Black people to invite them into the spiritual conversation. And hopefully they not be so blinded by, you know, the religious aspect of things, you know, so they can be open to receive.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny though. I grew up with a lot of different kind of Black folk, and so like, you know, as my dad would call them, mystical Negroes, and who were really into, you know, like that kind of stuff. So I mean, I was very, you know, fortunate that I was able to be, you know, besides the not being around, you know, but Miss Cleo, but when it comes to the shamanism and stuff like that. So so explain, where was this located at again, and what was the whole experience like?
It was right here in the DC area, just a few miles outside of DC, Maryland, like College Park, Maryland area. And The experience was interesting. I didn't know what to expect. I was trying to be more open. I felt definitely very drawn to shamanism, and I, saw it as a sign that this class was like so close to me, like 10 minutes away. And, I started, out there, I pulled up in the woods. I'm like, what's happening? Why is this out here in the woods? I didn't see any Black people. We're in these little domes. And, I'm like, what is about to happen? And, it was interesting. I have to give you that. It was interesting. I did learn a lot about myself throughout the class. I don't think it necessarily came from the instructors, but, I was kind of bothered. It seemed like it was a lot of like cultural appropriation. I felt like, it was just, these people that kind of identified, as anthropologists that had gone to these different countries and, decided they were into shamanism, you know what I mean? And brought it back and, not to negate them, but I didn't feel like it was an authentic experience. And at one point, since I have experienced African shamanism firsthand, I said, well, are we going to be discussing any African shamans in this class? I guess that's not what this one is about, And the female instructor said, oh, yeah, I have this book you can read here. You can read this book right here if you're interested in that. And I'm like, okay, we're talking about shamanism and we're talking about all these other countries. We're talking about Native Americans. We're talking about Siberians. We're talking about, all of these people, Koreans, but there's no mention of African shamanism. I mean, everything's from Africa, So that's the gist of it.
But it was for you to be there though too, to put that bug in. Whether they do anything with it or not, at least it was said. And I appreciate that because our history has always been discounted, and we have people in the chat room talking about it. We have from Xanadu says our history has been stripped, even made out to be demonic. That's true. As well as Art Jones says, isn't it true that Black men and women are very much a part of the how do you pronounce that? Kendo Mobilio and Santeria shamanism. So yes, so they seem to get it within our chat room. So so let me ask you a question. Before you went to do this, did you tell your family at all? Did you tell your husband, or did you just kind of go and just do it?
Yeah, my husband knew. He drove me there. I had this thing called failure protocol, psychic or not, I still have an ego, and I'm introverted and I have problems showing up with these things and you have to talk and do all this, stuff with. And I was just like, you know what, he better drive me to this class or I'm going to leave at the first break if they're not talking about anything, So I was glad that I had him to drive me. But yeah, he's very much, there's no secret about our spirituality. I mean, we're very much on the same plane in terms of the spiritual conversation.
Okay.
So can you explain a little bit more about that? Because, for me, I consider myself a spiritual person. But, a lot of people seems like nowadays they're identifying more with spirituality instead of religion. Mm-hmm. So can you really explain that a little bit more?
Explain spirituality?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think spirituality is different, for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Some people identify with spirituality as going to yoga and meditating and drinking green smoothies, some people just identify with it in terms of, well, I believe in God, but I don't need to go to church to worship, God. I think that for me, the difference for me is that, spirituality only requires that you accept that you're more than flesh and bones, right? It requires to accept that you have a soul, right? All the church folk talk about wanting to get to heaven, but I mean, this me right here that you see is not going to be the me that's in heaven. It's going to be, my soul, whereas, with religion, I think, well, there is a requirement to believe in a creator, you know what I mean? And to follow, the holy writings, whichever one you choose that has been left behind. So for me, spirituality is just expanding what you can see beyond your eyes, beyond what your eyes can see. And it allows you to wake up to your purpose, and to learn many other things about the world around you, about yourself, about where you came from. It can be very healing, very nurturing. It's just like, for me, it's just love and respect for the soul at the core.
Now, when someone purchases your book, Why Am I the Only Black Girl in the Shaman Room? What do you want them to come away with it, and what are you really trying to convey?
I'm glad you asked that question, Kente. I actually have a little takeaway that's towards the end of the book, so I'll read you guys just a little bit of an excerpt real quick, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm. All right.
If nothing else, I hope this experience can serve as a call to action for more people of all colors to lead a more examined life. And under the importance of knowing what you are participating in and the effect it has on others. You might not ever find yourself in spirituality or the lone Black girl slightly out of her comfort zone, but there may be many things you have overlooked while blinded by the illusions of this life. What other realms of reality are you missing out on because you haven't looked? Who have you judged for their desire to seek the truth? How could your path be enhanced if you showed up in the name of equality? How could you honor your ancestors by seeking what was lost through the generations? So,
Very well said. I feel like there's this whole other part of our world that we're not privy to, and other people, they understand it, and they really work at keeping a lot of people away from that. And I think that like your book can definitely serve as a way of connecting with that. Now, I want to ask you this: is when you went into this experience, did you go into it knowing you're going to write a book, or did this come totally after and you just felt like you had to do it?
It came totally after it. I was just, I was really bothered by the whole, absence of Africa. And I just couldn't quite let that go. And I felt that I shouldn't have been the only Black person in that room. Do you know what I mean? Black people really need to start showing up. I mean, just like Kiana was saying, a lot of people identify with spirituality, but, how are we using that to connect to our Blackness? How are we using that to connect to Africa? You know what I mean? And so, I wanted to say something, about it, and it, just turned into this. But yeah, I didn't know.
Okay, that's good. You didn't go in with like an agenda like that. You just was really going there for your own knowing.
Yeah, I was trying to, just go to participate and see what I could learn, and see what was there for me.
Now, was there like incense burning? Was it you guys in a sweat lodge? Was it? Give us
a visual. Help us visualize this moment.
You see like a spirit horse, galloping around.
I didn't see a spirit horse. I drove up, and it was very wooded. It was very isolated. And there were two geodesic domes. So there were two little domes there, and we were working in the smaller dome. So it was a room that was mostly, it had a lot of windows, but it was circular. And we kind of just sat all in this little circle. And the two practitioners were there kind of just explaining everything. And then we would go in and out of journeying, shamanic journeying is an altered state of consciousness that is required to be a shaman, pretty much. So you go into this like meditative state. So we were just there in this little circle hanging out, for 2 days.
There was no peyote or any kind of peace pipes or anything like that. It was just, right?
No peace pipes, no peace pipes, no ganja. That's not how we entered the altered state of consciousness. So, actually, there are, some shamans that do that in order to achieve the altered state of consciousness, to do shamanic journeying. But the method that we used was the monotonous drumming. So we used the drums.
Okay. You know why I ask you that is too, because that's the first thing people unfortunately think when they hear stuff like that is, oh, y'all just went up in the woods and got high.
No, no. There was no substance. There was nothing there but organic cookies and like juice.
Um, so doing this, that was the first time you've ever done that?
That was the first time I'd ever taken a class like that.
Mm-hmm. So how difficult was it to get in that state of mind, that meditated state?
That's interesting that you asked because I realized, once I got in the room, I had all these preconceived notions. I was so apprehensive and nervous about everything. But as soon as I walked through the door, I realized that I wasn't alone and that the spirit was with me already. Right. And then throughout the course of the class, I was worried about, initially I was worried about achieving the meditative state. But I realized that, the places that we were going through the like journeying, I had already been there. And I talk about that a lot in the book. So shamans go to different realms in order to bring back information, to heal people, to restore balance and power, right? So we describe them as the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. And I realized through the class that I had already been to the 3 different realms already.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is that experience like for someone? And then is that something that somebody could, maybe take away? Do you describe that in the book on, how to do the meditated state? How does it feel to be that deep? That's very deep.
That question was actually debated in the class. So if you guys pick up the book and decide to read that, that was one of the great debates in the class. Me personally, I believe that you have to be spiritually inclined to do this. Like, you already have to have some natural gifts in order to achieve the altered state of consciousness. I mean, anybody can meditate, right?
Right.
But to do this shamanic work, I think that you have to be called to it. You have to be drawn to it. There has to be something that is there already within you. I just don't think that it's something that each and every one of us is supposed to do. Just like I don't think everybody's supposed to be a doctor or, Beyonce, I shouldn't be singing anywhere, so.
I shouldn't either. I get it.
All right. So now, of course, when good Christian folk hear shamanism and all of that stuff, and you beating on drums and all of that stuff, they get scared. So
yes, they do.
So what would you say to somebody who is good Christian folk about your experience and potentially going on a similar experience?
I don't know what to say to the good Christian folks. I guess it really depends on what their question is. I think that, when I think about that statement, good Christian folks, I think people probably have preconceived notions in their minds about false prophets and all the text and stuff that comes up that pertains to that. But what I say to that is that I've never claimed to be a prophet. I do offer spiritual guidance that is solicited, and not I don't just go around saying, hey, Kiana, you're not going to hit the lotto today, but it might be in 2 weeks. I don't go around giving people unsolicited information. I think that the fear around spirituality from Christians is just about having to choose. They think that, if you are doing this stuff and you're choosing this spiritual path, then that means you have lost faith in God. And that's not true. I think for me, connecting with spirituality reinforced the presence of God in a very tangible way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know that, so I mean, that's what I would say to them.
Well said.
So Mo, he has a pretty good question. He said, is being in that meditated state, is it or can it be a scary experience?
I guess it could be, but I mean, with spirituality, you can't have any fear. Like when you're in a meditative state, anything could happen. You could go anywhere. I mean, once you leave, the physical realm, you know, we are here, like humans live here, right? Everybody that we see are humans, right? So when you go into different realms, that they don't look like us here. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it definitely can be scary, but you only see what you're ready to see. Like your eyes in another realm are only going to see what you're ready to see. So spirit will never show you something that you're not ready for, that you can't handle.
I want to rewind the tape a little bit and kind of go back to young Diamond Disclosure. Because I just picture like this young girl.
We're going back to Alabama, huh?
We're going back to Sweet Tea and all of that. But I just get this picture of this young girl, and having all of these things going on in her life as far as, having this intuitive nature and all of this stuff. Like, was there somebody that helped you through all of that? I mean, I can only imagine what'd you say, you were 5 when you started realizing this? Like,
I was young.
I mean, I'm thinking about, like, let's say if that was me, right? I'm thinking like, who would have been there that I could have turned to? Like my uncles? No. So like, who was there someone that helped you through all that to understand? Uh-oh, did she freeze?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Who was there? I mean, the spirit was there, my mom didn't understand what I was talking about, and I had to realize that she wasn't going to understand or had no interest in it, and she still doesn't. But
wow.
For a long time, I just had to, figure out what I could figure out on my own. And, I'm already introverted by nature. So, I was reading horoscopes and, reading different books and different things like that. I mean, I didn't meet my first spiritual teacher until, in my 30s, my early 30s, So, I mean, that was really helpful, but I realized that I had made it a pretty good way, and didn't do bad by myself. Spirit, it truly doesn't give you things that you're not ready for.
Okay, so let's say somebody has a child that is exhibiting these kind of things. What would your suggestion be as a parent who can't understand from having your gifts, but has a child that is starting to show that they have it? What can they do for them?
I think just support them. There's a lot of different books out there about like indigo children. And I think those are like worth a read. I think you just got to be supportive. I mean, sometimes your child's imaginary friend is not all that imaginary. You know what I mean? You just have to really, talk to them if you're, and kind of see where they're coming from with them. Everything that they're saying is not a mental illness either, So, but I think, I strongly believe that the gift does follow bloodlines. So, I mean, there's somebody in your family that's probably like this or identifies like this, even if it's suppressed. It usually just doesn't pop out of the blue like that.
So if I do have a child and they're showing the thing, I can just send them to DC, right? And you'll
just give me a call. Just give me a call.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to fast forward back to your experience. Yeah, I want to go back to your experience. So when you come out of the meditated state, what is it that you feel? After you've gone from realm to realm to realm, what is it that you feel?
It can be a little bit like jet lag. From realm to realm, you can feel a little woozy. You definitely have to ground yourself. I always tell, like even my clients, because I give some different types of readings, so some of them take up a lot of energy, like that altered state of consciousness that you kind of feel. But you should always do something normal. Like I always do something extra regular whenever I come from like another realm. Have a sip of water, take a shower, take a walk. You know, you have to like ground yourself back in this realm.
Okay. And what do you feel any energy right now?
I'm sorry, Kiana.
Did you hear me?
No, what'd you say?
Oh, I said, do you feel any energy right now?
I feel the negativity of that Trump 2016.
Yeah. I felt it too. That's why I got rid of his negative.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You know, it just came out of nowhere, you know.
Sunflower wants to know, how do you know if you have the gift?
I mean, there'll be clues, you know. You know, you'll definitely have some clues. I mean, they're different gifts, you know what I mean? It just depends on what you're talking about. You know, as an empath, and that was the first gift that I truly identified with, you know, feeling the emotions of others. So say you walk into the room, Kente, right? And but before you come in, I'm perfectly fine. I'm chilling, you know, I'm having lunch. I'm cool. And then, you know, you walk into the room and say, I feel this dread, or I feel scared, or I feel panicky. You know what I mean? That's you, not me. You know what I mean? So like that's a sign that you may be impacted. Like if you're picking up emotions of other people and they're not telling you anything and you're spot on with how they're feeling, you know, and I mean, this can be strangers, you know what I mean? Then, you know, that could be a clue that you could be an empath.
Now, another question I have is, it's kind of a personal one, is at what point do you come out of the empath closet to friends and loved ones? So like if you meet a guy, I mean, obviously not now, you're married, but like, do you tell him right away? Do you wait a while? Like, how do you do it? Like, you know.
I never told anybody, you know, before my husband, and it really wasn't, you know, we're kind of one and the same. You know what I mean? I didn't have to tell him, you know what I mean? But I don't really go around trying to broadcast it. It's not like, you know, it's not one of those things that it's just like, ooh, you know, I'm a medical doctor, you know, ooh, I'm a psych. You
didn't meet on empathmingle.com or nothing like that.
Oh God.
No, we didn't meet on empathmingle.com. Is there an empath me? Is that your new business idea?
I'm looking up to see if there's the URL.
Oh God.
I might have to start that.
Well, he's gonna trademark it.
Heck yeah. How'd you tell our friend Jordan?
They could become successful starters in the National Football League.
Jordan, I don't remember how. No, you know, I was always giving Jordan like little guidance and little things along the way. I mean, when I really started to focus on it to try to like learn to read for others, you know, I called her up and like, hey, I want to give you a reading because I need to practice, you know, and she was open to it. So, you know, she's a very open person.
Oh, she is very open. Oh my God, and I'm sure she enjoyed
it. That's funny. All right, so now the book, is the book available for us to get our hands on it now, or is it pre-order?
It's available tomorrow, so pre-order tonight or just grab it up tomorrow. We are launched now, so
did you guys?
All right,
you guys
definitely pick it up.
Your releases, because her book comes out tomorrow too, or is that just by Jordan's book comes out tomorrow too? So did you guys plan that?
We might have planned it.
Okay. Lord.
Because she has been pivotal in every single major life and business decision I've made. She's awesome. Oh wow.
Oh, thanks, Jordan.
Oh wow.
We're gonna have to get a reading.
I don't know if I want.
Yeah. What? You know. I mean, it's something that you can be very open to, because when you think about it, like I said, I'm more spiritual. You know, if you understand what you're receiving and not be fearful of it. Because as we walk around, like you said, you do get almost like, or maybe that's just me, you can tell when somebody's upset that you're close to. You can tell, something's just not right. Not even, if you're not even looking at them over the phone, you'll be able to tell, that's just simple. So you can be open to something like that. Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna open the seat in case someone has a question. They can pop in, and we'll no trolls, please. But you guys can come in and ask any questions of our guests. All right, so the book comes out tomorrow. Is it going to be on Kindle as well?
It's Kindle. Kindle is tomorrow. I definitely have been a little bit behind in getting up the hard copy, the paperback, but Kindle ready tomorrow.
All right, so we have Jordan. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm so good. I'm loving this conversation. I'm glad that you guys have had Diamond on for the interview.
Oh man,
where's the bonnet at? Because usually after, your evening airings, you always have the bonnet on, and the bonnet face too. By the way,
I knew Spirit was going to be here today, so I wanted to show up.
We have you audio only for some reason. Diamond.
I can see her. I can see Diamond. Yeah, I can see Diamond and Jordan.
Okay, I see Jordan. I don't see Diamond now. Maybe it's
really. It's Blab. Yeah, that's what they said. It's Blab.
Okay.
Well, let's see. I'm very intrigued as far as when you said a takeaway. How do you think we as people can really dig deeper into the spirituality of it?
I think you have to want it. I think you have to be interested in it. You know what I mean? I think like you were saying before, you just really have to be open to it. Once you open yourself up to things, that you're truly seeking, have you ever heard that quote by Rumi? What you are seeking is seeking you, I definitely believe that. One of the first books that really opened me up, as I started reading stuff about spirituality was Iyanla Vanzant's Peace from Broken Pieces. And that's not even super spiritual, but just reading more about things that you're interested in the spiritual realm can be a good way.
Now, Jordan, who just hopped in, I know she had a part to play in getting this book out there. What was it that you did for the audience who may not know?
How much are we allowed to tell? I don't, Diamond.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Kente.
No, I was saying Jordan's involvement in the creation of this book.
Can you hear me, Diamond?
Oh yeah.
How much am I allowed to tell, Diamond? Can I tell them all of our secrets?
Yes, you can tell them some of our secrets, just some of them.
We've been friends for a very long time, and like I said, she's been really pivotal in helping me out in a variety of different ventures. And she had a book idea, I had a book idea, and so we were like, well, let's get this done together. And so we created a 14-day writing challenge to round out each of our individual endeavors, and then also a distribution challenge to go along with that. So it's been in the form of support, but also a lot of brand strategy as well. And it's great because it's like there's nothing like having like a psychic and a branding person together helping you to get your writing.
Lord.
It's kind of awesome.
That's an amazing teamwork and a heck of accountability, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what is it like working with this crazy lady over here, Diamond Disclosure?
Jordan, she's all about the structure. She can map it all out. I call her Olivia Pope. She can fix anything.
Oh, no.
You can call her about anything. She might not even know about it, but in like 2 minutes, she's already figured it out. So, it's really invaluable working with Jordan, sans, Tracy and, Santa Frog. If you can get through that, you'll be good.
So they helped out with the process too.
Oh, Jesus.
You had our whole squad helping you out. I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, oh man.
Well, likewise, there's nothing like having a problem like, well, I've got like these 2 ideas and I'm not really sure which one is a go. And then you got the psychic that's right there. And it's like, well, if you really want to know, this is the path that you need to go down. That's, that's it, And it was just so much confidence in working with her. Like feeling like this is really the path that I'm supposed to be on this given decision. So I provided some of the structure and she provided a lot of those intuitive insights.
Okay. All right. So now you were saying that the book comes out tomorrow, right? It doesn't tomorrow. Now, will you be able to get a paperback as well as the Kindle version?
Not tomorrow, but it's coming soon for sure. I definitely want to make sure I get paperback out for folks that want something in hand.
You know what? Because we're getting to a point where there ain't going to be no more books. It's all going to be digital. So
not in my house.
Well, you're going to be one of those rare people. We're dinosaurs. I mean, I like to have them on I like both. I'll get both. I'll get the paperback and I'll get the digital copy as well. And sometimes I'll even get the audio copy as well. So will there be audio copy of this?
Maybe. Jordan, you gonna do audio for me?
I will do the audio. I will gladly do the audio for you.
I think Santa Frog should do it. I'm just joking.
You go.
This book is voiced by Santa Frog.
Santa Frog in the shaman room. I don't know.
Well, really, what she's not telling you guys is that, so she has this really, one of the things about listening to her when she does audio is that she brings that energy in the room. And so she has this thing called 15 Minutes in My Journey where she talks about a spiritual journey from a human perspective. And I listen to it on Sundays, not even for the information, although the information is great, but just because it's like I can hear her going into a completely different state and I'm calmer because of it, So I would do like the intro, but then she would really need to do the rest of the book.
Okay. Well, because that's what I heard it initially, right? Was on that show, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit more about the show too.
You there, Diamond?
Yeah.
I can't see Diamond.
I see.
Yeah. I'm having like a delay.
Oh, okay. No, I was saying, tell us a little bit more about the show on Sundays.
The show that me and Jordan do on Sundays, we talk about just random spiritual topics. We've talked about the importance of morning routines, even tried to address some of the fear issues. Just trying to bring, as many topics to the forefront as we can. And Jordan asked all the hard questions that people never want to ask and are curious about. So it's a good balance.
It's nice for me because I'm very open, but I'm not very knowledgeable, right? And I have all of these, these experiences with people that are really going through life situations similar to the ones that I was going through that I got help, from Diamond. And so it's important to me to have the show because I think more people need to know about her and people like her and what she's doing and to understand like it's worth the time. It's worth the leap even over the fear. I wouldn't be on my life path if it weren't for her. So that's why it's important.
Oh, thanks, Jordan.
Well, I have a question for those individuals that might be fearful of getting a reading or being open. How could someone maybe become a little bit more open to something like that?
I don't know. I mean, I just think that it just has to be, you know, something that they're just drawn to. Honestly, like I remember when I got my first reading, it was the result of like what I call the big breakup. You know, I had, you know, totally changed my life around for this person and moved mountains to be with them, and then it was over, you know, and I was like, in that moment, I just wanted to know, like, she was a good person. I believe that she was honest, and I wanted to know what was going to happen next. So, you know, people come for readings for many different reasons. I just think that, you know, if it's something that you're drawn to and you're curious about, then, it's worth it if you find somebody that you feel comfortable with.
And then that is my next question, the comfort. Like, I mean, because, you know, as Kente said, you know, the Miss Cleos out there, you know, how can you really know that you found someone that is really honest and true in their gift?
Uh-oh. Okay, we're having a little technical difficulty with Diamond.
Are you there, Diamond?
Actually, I'm going to have her out seat and then come right back in, Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak from a client perspective. You know, I've always been open, and I had other people who I had gone to for readings. But when it came down to it and I needed to make a life decision, and my question was, who am I really? What gifts did I bring into this world? I was like, Tanisha, I think she's the person who can really answer, you know, these fundamental questions. And I think it's important for people to remember that even when you feel comfortable with others, everything requires a leap of faith. Everything does. You know, so there's not going to be any 100% guarantee of anything, but it is worth it. And what I've found briefly is that it's so much more than what's going to happen next. You know, it's really about your core identity, and really people who or spirits that are here to help you and have quality information for you about the agreements that you made for your life coming in. And, you know, why not be open to that conversation? We spend more on a pair of Jordans. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, you know, why not be open to the conversation? So it's my piece.
Okay, so since your epic trip to the shaman room, have you done it again, or was it just a one time? Oh, are we?
If it's freezing.
Right.
Am I still freezing?
No, now you're good. So have you done it? Oh, now she's audio only.
Can you guys hear?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so have you done it again since the first time, shaman?
Have I practiced shamanism since then? Yeah, I have. I mean, the biggest thing about the experience was me discovering that, you know, shamanism was already something that was within me, you know, something that I had already experienced. But you know, I have worked with it a little bit, and it's something that I'm hoping to be able to offer to clients soon.
Okay. All right. And I know the book is just coming out, but what's your? Do you have any other book projects that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh no!
All right. So we will. You know, this is a good time to do a commercial break. See, I learned from you, Jordan. And also too, we have a segment called "This Day in History," and I'll do that one real quick. This Day in History for April 29th. Go back to the year 1899, and Duke Ellington was born. Edward Kennedy, world famous musician, born in Washington, D.C. April 29th, 1899. So that was one of my father's favorites. That is our This Day in History. Of course, we have it in the show notes as well. And I want to do a quick shout out. Of course, we have Jordan, who's in our chair. We have Aram Soul. We have Jenna is here. We have Chick Maddie.
Jenna.
Yeah, yes. Yvette. We have Ben Mobetta, Bruce Carter,
Oh,
and of course Sunflower, and all those who are listening as well on the podcast. Thank you as well for being here. And let's see, as we're waiting for Diamond Disclosure to come back, we did mention also too that a couple of weeks ago, but now I guess we'll mention it. We have a book that's coming out as well, Jordan, tomorrow.
I do, and Tanisha was very helpful in getting that out. But I actually wanted to go back to just my experience. I'm so my life has been changed by her, so I'm just always excited when people are getting a chance to meet her. I think that one of the most powerful things she's ever said to me was that this whole spirituality thing is that this is what your ancestors brought here to what is now the United States of America, right? But back then was just this brand new place that they didn't know, they had no understanding of, and that was really scary because of the circumstances. Like, this is part of what they had. And her husband is from Senegal, and she talks a lot about spirituality and religion there, and how people are very religious there, but they also have a strong spiritual presence, and there is no sense of conflict, And the point at which she said that to me, that, this, what we're talking about is something that your ancestors had, it was infinitely more interesting to me at that point. It's like, we can't just go back a few generations. Like, our story just runs too deep. So I feel so much more connected and grounded on my path because of it.
wow.
All right.
Wow.
Welcome back, Diamond. Diamond.
Can you hear us?
It's a delay.
Yeah, I can
so.
hear you.
Oh, okay. Cool. Glad to have you back. All right. So, the Blab guys are just against us today. I don't know what
All
it is.
against us.
All right. Welcome in the chat room. We have Gerald came in and our guest last week, Ava Laura, too. So welcome.
Ava Laura join.
Yes. All right. So, we were talking about future projects. So, do you have any other book ideas that you're gonna bring forth to us?
Absolutely. I have a book of poetry that I'm going to be putting out next month. It's called Unfinished Love Poems from the Ether. It's inspired by some of my middle of the night love poetry. So that's definitely something. There's been a book that I've been working on for quite some time called Coming Out as a Psychic Medium. That's the working title. But just my journey coming out of the psychic closet. So I definitely have some more things down the road.
I can just picture someone just sitting, bringing the family together, and says, "I have something to tell you," and then they just come out with, and they're like, "Oh, okay, woo! I thought you might have been on crack."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mixed reactions all across the board.
Yes. All right. So your book of poetry. All right. So you know what? Talk a little bit about your poetry. Now you said they're love poems, and you got these in the middle of the night. Talk about that.
Yeah, poetry is not writing that I can really do purposeful. I mean, some people can, and they're awesome at it. But my poetry just comes whenever it comes. And I did a lot of poems. I told you guys about the big breakup that I sought out spiritual guidance for, processing that. There were a series of love poems, some finished, some unfinished, that I would write to kind of process that. And it'd be just this voice just coming out of me, wanting to express, the anger, the frustration, the disappointment, the hurt, and all those emotions that you go through. So our good friend Jordan talked me into publishing it, even though some of them are not finished and they probably never will be. So I guess I might as well publish it. But yeah, just another side, I guess, another side of me to share with others.
Okay. All right. Do you ever perform your poetry live any place?
No.
No.
I don't think I could do that.
Okay.
Oh man. So being an introvert, how does that affect your spiritual gift?
I think it helped it. I mean, I think they go hand in hand with each other. Someone that's always living in their head, it's not a far stretch from seeing things in your head. You know what I mean? So I think it contributed in a positive way.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, our guest is the one and only Diamond Disclosure, and the book is Why Am I the Only Black Girl in the Shaman Room? I want to once again thank you so much for coming on the show, and they can once again. I want to beat them over the head. They can pick up the book when?
Tomorrow. Go ahead and get it tonight, and it'll be in your Kindle tomorrow morning. It's a short read. Definitely interesting. I had my funny moments in there to entertain you guys as well. So read about my experience, come into the spiritual conversation with me. Don't leave me out there as the only Black girl trying to learn something about the ancestors.
Yeah. Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have something that the conversation is continuing?
Like a Facebook like page or?
Go to Facebook, Diamond Disclosure on Facebook. Hit me up, you'll see a lot of posts from me. My random thoughts. I post my 15 minutes in my journeys there, like Jordan was talking about as well. So definitely check out my Facebook page.
Boom, boom, boom. Thank you.
All right. And you can follow her at Diamond Disclosure as well. And how can people get you in social media, Kiana?
They can social media. It's at DDisclosure on Twitter. So check me out there. But if you really want to get in the room, come on over to the website, diamonddisclosure.com, and book an appointment if you're interested. So yeah.
All right. Kiana, how can people get you social media and such?
All across the board. I'm Happy Work Week, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, Happy Work Week. HappyWorkWeek.com. You can find me there as well. Kente, how can people find you?
Find me at Kente F. It's how you can find me. And you can get the website is indyradio.org. INDYradio.org. And tell everybody about next week's show, Kiana.
Woo! Next week. Next week we are talking with Tracy Reddy, and Miss Tracy is an amazing individual. I've known her since last year, and she wrote an amazing book as well. We're gonna get into her book, and I think we can tweet out exactly where you can find her book, so maybe you guys can read it by next week. But it's really about relationships and her experience with different type of men. So it's going to be very interesting. So hopefully Kente, you'll be the only one present. We won't she actually did a blab this weekend, and it wasn't male bashing. That's not what it's about. It's really talking about different experience with different men and the different types of men, and it was really interesting. So hopefully you guys will come join us next week.
I'm gonna have to represent for the fellas. No,
oh my goodness!
Look forward to it though. It should be great. So and so we have a lot of great shows planned. Once again, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I had a great time. And
thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
And we will see you right here next week.